I am pulling my hair out. I cannot believe we lost that game. Hello everybody and welcome back to Very Biased Opinions. It's time for another retrospective review of an Oxford United game. We're going back and looking over the early games of the season I haven't reviewed already. Today, Oxford were away to Blackpool. So it's only the third game of the season, but both sides are unbeaten so far, so let's jump into some team news. So Oxford have just played in the Cup against Peterborough, where they've had back-to-back 1-0 wins over the Posh, so a lot of the changes that they made for that game have been reversed for this one. So the likes of Cadden, Messinio, Mackie, Gorin, Henry and Woodburn return to the starting lineup. Long, Moore, Ford, Napper, Sykes and Hall miss out. Fosu is the obvious omission from the team. I'm not sure he was injured going into this one, but Jamie Hansen played in midfield in this one, a rare appearance for him. He did play well in the last game, so it'll be interested to see how he goes in this one. Very much a feel-good factor around Blackpool at this stage of the season. They've got rid of the horrible Oyston family that held the club hostage for such a long time and prevented any progress moving forward. So they've gone now, they've got Simon Grayson in charge, who I believed was a very good manager, but obviously time has told us something different on that one. And there is very much, as I said, a feel-good factor. The crowds have returned back to Bloomfield Road. On the pitch, they are led very much by their front man, Nandalay, very much in the same vein of where we talked with Peterborough of Ivan Toney. He's a big target man and a fine player. This should be a really interesting game. Oxford have started well so far, so I have no reason to believe that this won't be a good game and a good result for Oxford as well. Wow. I haven't seen a game or been as frustrated in a game like this for quite some time. Watching this one back actually angered me at many points during the match because it was Oxford United's first defeat of the season. It was very much one of those ones where you can't believe that they've lost, but they have lost, so credit to Blackpool because it ended up being Blackpool 2, Oxford United 1. Pretty much this match was action-packed from the very start of the game. It was Blackpool who started on the front foot. Whenever they had an opportunity to load balls into the box, they caused Oxford no end of problems in this game. That's how the game started. It seemed to start with a flurry of corners and free kicks, but from Blackpool's very first corner, they took the lead in this game. Oxford have been very good at defending so far this season, so it was unusual to see them start so sloppy. But they did. It was a run that Messinio didn't pick up, and he's allowed Ryan Edwards to get a run on him, and Edwards, credit to him, it's a wonderful run, a powerful header. There's nothing Eastwood could do or anything else. It's just a little lapse by Oxford early on in the game. Not going to be too hard on Messinio. It happens. But Oxford find themselves a goal down for the first time this season. But Oxford soon got into their stride and started to create chances, and what became the overarching theme of the match was our inability to take our chances. It started with Josh Ruffles on about the 20th minute where James Henry got a wonderful cross, get ready to hear that a lot in this game, over to the back post. Ruffles, he got there, he was in between defenders, but he got there and he just didn't make a good connection on him. I think if he was a little bit more assertive, or if it was a forward player, I think they would have got a better connection on him. Nonetheless, it was a good chance and he should have scored. Then it was the start of Mackie to show why he is not a League One striker, I'm afraid to say. Shortly after the Ruffles chance, he had a header, and again, it was just a poor connection on it. It looped harmlessly over the bar, and you'd have thought a striker should have been able to do much better. I'll leave it at that for that one. But I have to go in more details about this next Mackie miss because this was shocking. This was awful. It was again another fine ball in from Henry, and this time Mackie found himself, and I kid you not, unmarked at the back post, 5 yards out with an open goal to tap into. And he miskicked it. My God, this was painful to watch looking at it back. Yes, obviously he hasn't meant to do it, but this was a gilt-edged chance that Mackie missed, and this was just game was a crying out for Oxford to get that equaliser. You felt if we got that equaliser, we could go on to dominate this game. Obviously that might not have happened, but this was a frustrating one. Then it was Ben Woodburn who came extremely close. He hit the post from the edge of the box. It was a good shot that went through bodies. The goalie was well beaten. Again, more frustrating for Oxford, but you're thinking we are dominating this game. We're playing wonderful football. We're creating chance after chance after chance. Surely it's only a matter of time before we get back into it. But lo and behold, would you know it, sod's law, completely against the run of play, Blackpool go and get the second goal. Nandalay was a handful all game, and Blackpool's main outlet was just hitting long balls up to him, which he was really good at holding the ball up. But Dickie's been excellent this season, but this was a rare moment where Nandalay got the wrong side of him, and he looked like he was bearing down on goal. Dickie did get back, and then he made contact with Nandalay, and Nandalay went over very easily. It looked very soft. Referee wasn't in a good position, let's be fair. He's run into screen from about 40 yards away, gives the penalty. And it's one of those ones where very, very, very harsh against Dickie. But, I mean, what can you do? The penalty's given. And Nandalay stepped up and made it 2-0 to Blackpool. That was virtually bang on half-time. So you're thinking, as well as we've played, how have we gone in 2-0 down? Thankfully, we didn't go in 2-0 down. There was a little bit of extra time at the end of the first half to be played, and Oxford finally got a goal. Finally, someone got on the end of the cross. It was Ruffles who did that. It was Cadden who crossed in, so it was fullback to fullback. It was a very nice move. Persistence paid off for Oxford in this one, who were very, very busy around very probing around the Blackpool area. Finally, a cross came in. Ruffles arrived at the back post. And the ball went in, and so from being 2-0 down a few seconds ago, it's 2-1, and Oxford go in with the momentum at half-time. So the story of the second half was very much like the story of the first half, where Oxford dominated it, but could not score. And indeed, it was Blackpool who absolutely should have had a penalty at the start of this second half. The referee, he made questionable decisions all afternoon. This one came following another cross, which Oxford didn't clear. The ball came out to a Blackpool player. Henry clearly fouled him. Clearly fouled him. And the referee even weirdly looked like he'd given the penalty, but he was indeed pointing for a goal kick. It was maddening, but in the same side, I was looking at it and thinking, well, we've kind of got away with one there. If Dickie's one wasn't a penalty in the first half, maybe that's kind of evened it up a little bit. But other than that, Blackpool didn't really threaten, and it was just Oxford laying siege to this Blackpool goal. Blackpool, to their credit, I would say defended really well. The goalkeeper had a decent game as well, and they threw their bodies on the line and, well, I'd say deserved it, but they certainly defended very well and scrapped for every ball. So I give them a lot of credit for that. On the other end of flip sides, from Oxford's numerous, I think they had 13 or 14 corners or free kicks. We couldn't really do anything with them. That's been a story this season as well. But there was a lot of shirt pulling and a lot of fouling. The referee could have easily given a penalty to Oxford at some point, but that was nothing doing. As I said, he made strange decisions for both sides all afternoon, so I'm not really going to use him as an excuse for this one. But the chances did come and go for Oxford. It started with Woodburn, who forced the goalie into making a good save. Then Mackie was denied by a good defensive challenge. Henry with a poor finish. Leading up to Oxford's best chance, and probably their most unlucky moment in the second half, was where Jamie Hansen hit the bar. It was a fine move involving, I think, like Woodburn, Henry, Ruffles. He got the ball in. You really could see on the video, watching the game back, Hansen made a great run into the box to meet this header flush, looked for all the money that was going in, hits the underside of the bar, bounces out. The subs came on and looked pretty good in the game. I thought Hall looked lively, I thought Ford looked lively, and even more, I thought that he could have came on a little bit earlier to give Oxford a target up front. He only came on for the last few minutes. I think that might have helped Mackie out a little bit as well. Robbie Hall was denied by a fine block by Anderton. That would have been a surefire goal if that challenge wasn't made. Ford also had a great shot that was blocked. And as time ticked down, it just looked more and more likely that Oxford weren't going to get anything out of this game. Oxford did get a little bit more rushed and a little bit more frantic as the game went on and started snatching at chances, which did lead Blackpool to have a few moments on the counter-attack. There was one right at the end of the game where they should have scored and Eastwood made a good save. But I think in total, if you look at it, I think Blackpool had 3 shots on goal, one of them a penalty, and they scored 2 goals. So it shows you how wasteful Oxford were. 6 minutes of injury time, and right at the death, a chance fell to Jamie Mackie. And I hate bagging on Mackie. I hate giving him so much stick because I do like him. You know, we've watched him for a long time now, and he tries. He really, really tries. He puts so much work rate and effort into every game that he plays. He's desperate to score goals and to do well for Oxford United, but he's just not good enough anymore. He's second best to every ball. He's slow at getting on the end of crosses. And this one was a chance that Henry made for him. He chipped a lovely little dink ball up, and he's unmarked. He's unmarked for about 7 yards out. Yes, he had to stretch a little bit for the header, but the header is so poor. Such a poor moment to end the game. He could have at least made the goalie, stretched the goalie a little bit more, or get a little bit more power on it, and it just really summed up a frustrating afternoon in that final moment. So as I said before, credit to Blackpool. That was 3 games unbeaten for them at the start of the season. A very good battling defensive display. Oxford, wow, oh God, what can you say? I mean, for me, I look back at this game and I just thought, a couple of things came to mind. I've tried to look at these early games of the season and not just instantly think of every chance that we miss, oh, Taylor would have scored that, oh, Taylor would have scored that, oh, Taylor would have scored that. But I couldn't help myself but think it in this game. I couldn't help but think if Matty Taylor would have played in this game, Oxford would have taken all 3 points this afternoon. Or at the very least, they would have got a point. It doesn't seem like much in isolation because obviously Taylor does come in the very next match. But this also comes back to fundamental problems that Oxford have had for a while now, and that's having guys to play up front. Last season, Mackie had to play up front on his own for such a long time, and yeah, he worked hard, but he's not the guy to do that job. And last season we were struggling with other players. Jerome St Clair did okay, Sam Smith never hit the ground running, and Abika had a bad injury. This season, I mean, I just can't believe that we got to the start of the season and we hadn't had another striker come in. Adji, as we know, was injured at this point, and he's also a guy they've said is one for the future. So why? Why was a striker not brought in before the start of the season? I know Taylor's great, and he's come in and he's done brilliantly, and I'm very happy with him. The difference of having him up front is massive, but why did we not get someone in at the start of the season? I just don't understand why we couldn't have got Taylor in earlier. I don't understand why we couldn't have made moves to get some of the guys who moved from League 2 to League 1, like Sammy Smodics, like Ladapo, like Kyler Walker, or someone like that guy who's banging them in from Swindon, Owen Doyle. Why couldn't we have got one of those guys in for these early matches of the season? It just baffles me that it's fundamental pieces of the team that just seem to go unnoticed. Well, not unnoticed, but that the board don't want to take action over. And that's a little bit of a ramble, but these are just things that I just said I was annoyed watching this game, and it's just something that just struck with me as I watched it. Is when Robinson first came in, Tiger said we wanted to get a manager with a wow factor, and that's very much been a stick to beat Robinson with. Not so much this season, but certainly for last season and when he came into the club. But having a good, solid, regular striker that can put the ball in the back of the net is the final piece of the jigsaw that now we've solved. But my God, if Taylor got injured or we went back to Bristol City and we haven't got him anymore, I don't know what we're going to do. Because last season, and even back to Robinson's first game where we lost heavily to Portsmouth, but we largely dominated that game but couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. That was a feature of last season, and it started to look like it would be a feature for this season. I know Taylor has had games where he had plenty of chances and didn't score, like Doncaster away springs to mind, but I would actually generally say, going back to say manager with a wow factor, I think the football that we've played in this game and since Carl Robinson's taken over has been of a wow level. I think it's been amazing. The interplay between players like James Henry and Woodburn, Cadden, Ruffles was excellent in this game. James Henry was phenomenal in this match. It's no wonder he set up so many goals for Taylor, because if he'd have had a good striker to put balls into, Oxford would have scored goals in this game. And yes, I'm just really frustrated watching the game back. It brought back a lot of those early memories of the season of just thinking that we're a good side, but we haven't got anyone in to put the ball in the back of the net. Blackpool had very few chances, but were a lot more efficient in that department. Well, I rant and I ramble, and I know, but there were just some things that bothered me about this game. I'm glad I got them off my chest. Obviously, things did work out a bit better for Oxford than they have done for Blackpool this season, but this certainly was one I am frustrated about. And that'll very much do it for this review. We move into a little stretch of games now where Oxford, I think, lost 3 or 4 in a row, so that will be fun to watch. please give the video a thumbs up. That helps us out so much with trying to get views on YouTube, and it helps us out so much more now than ever with there being no live football anymore. And generally, if you like the content on the channel, think about subscribing, and if you do subscribe, hit that notify bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. I'll be back very soon to do another retrospective review. There'll be some quizzes, there'll be some news features, there'll be something coming out of Very Biased Opinions. But remember, if you're looking for detailed football analysis, you're in the wrong place.